Hello and live from Davao, Philippines. My name is Andres Chang. This is Americano Update. It is Sunday, 27 February. It is almost 4:30 p.m. in the afternoon here in California. It is 12:30 a.m. Sunday morning. You're not partying from Saturday night. You're at home because you're watching me, or you're watching me on your phone. All right. $1 will buy you 51 pesos. Let us get to the news, shall we? All right. It has been over 2 months since Typhoon Odette has hit the Philippines. And there will be a link in the description to CNN Philippines and, excuse me, their latest story on that. My concern is that this story is falling off the local radar, that the local media is not covering it. So, as you can see, the headline is Siargao reopens for tourism, business still struggling. Uh, please get in contact with the Red Cross. Please get in contact with me so we can organize a private relief mission. This story is not over, but I'm afraid that it's not. We won't be hearing about it very much. I don't know if I'm going to have to go personally. Maybe I will to make sure it's being covered, but that's going to complicate things because it always takes a long time to do things in the Philippines, and it also complicates things on my end as well. But it's been over 2 months since Typhoon Odette hit. It's still a story. People are still struggling. Please contact me and reach out to me if you'd like to organize something. Please donate to the Red Cross Philippines, and hopefully this won't stay in the public's mind, and the affected areas will recover quickly. This could be an opportunity to rebuild the damaged areas brand new and modernize the infrastructure. That would be great. All right, let's move on to the next story. The next story is people power. We just had the revolution of, not the revolution, the anniversary of the revolution of people's power. Every year, it's a public national legal holiday in the Philippines on 25 January. It just, this year, it fell on a Friday. We got a long weekend. I think the takeaway is no Marcos, please. It makes no sense for us to re-elect Marcos, especially since it appears as though his mother is pulling the strings, which means that Marcos is literally a son of a. I am anti-Marcos, full disclosure. I already put a video about my feelings about Marcos. We are going to put on last week as part of the Sunday show. I think it was last week. I talked a little bit more about Marcos. We're going to cut that out, make it its own separate video, and we're going to drop that soon. I just want to reiterate that it was not a good time in the Philippines, which is why it led to a revolution. Revolutions don't happen because the leaders are good and because things are good. Revolutions or countries falling apart happen because things are bad. And during the Marcos time, things were bad. And we have to remember that. We can't forget that. I say we and I say our, even though I am not Filipino, but I live here and my wife is a Filipina. So we can't forget that. 300 Filipinos went missing. 3,000 Filipinos died during the Marcos time. Again, 300 Filipinos went missing. 3,000 died during the Marcos time. That's why there was a revolution. And that's why he was out. And now, Imelda Marcos, his widow, is still around with her 3,000 pairs of shoes, while so many Filipinos live in poverty in such a poor country. I posted a bunch of links already regarding Marcos on a previous video. Please check them out. And no Marcos. We all should be anti-Marcos. And unfortunately, it looks like Marcos is going to win. So if he wins and people start disappearing again, people start dying again, great. Just great. All right, let's move on to the next story. All right, this is the last Sunday of Black History Month, the second to last day of the month. Tomorrow is the last day of Black History Month 2022. We began I began Black History Month stories with HBCUs, historically Black colleges and universities. And sadly, there have been threats against these HBCUs. We have a link in the description. This is a video from Democracy Now! Full disclosure, I don't like Democracy Now! I have criticisms of them, but as you can see from the headlines, wave of bomb threats terrorizing historically Black colleges continues. I talked about this at the beginning of Black History Month, and now I'm ending Black History Month on this. And it is the last show of Black History Month. So the rest of this show is going to be about Black History Month and Black American related topics. When I first did this story, they connected a bunch of teenagers and no bombs were found, but we have to take these threats seriously. And it looked like a bunch of young people being foolish. Hopefully that's all it is, but this shouldn't be happening at all. Continuing with, so click the link, check out this story, and always remember Black history is very important to the United States, and we'll talk about that. You know, the United States would not be what it is today without the enslavement of Black people, without Black people. So we have to remember Black history, not just this month, not just February, the shortest month of the year, but really all year round. This whole craziness about, oh my gosh, I shouldn't say that. I shouldn't be belittling. A lot of people are really going crazy about critical race theory. There's nothing wrong with talking about critical race theory or talking about the racism of America's past. It needs to be talked about. Sorry if I'm getting distracted, but some people are pushing my buttons. Anyway, drama behind the scenes of Americano updates. Okay, so continuing with Black History Month, link to Revolutionary Blackout. As you can read from the headline, Black Lives Matter taken over by Hillary Clinton Democrats. Yeah, you know, excuse me, but that happens. And we'll talk a little bit about that later at the end of the show. Sometimes movements and leaders, they get co-opted into the system. One could say that about Barack Obama. Yes, he was the first Black president, but he kept the wars going. So it was a Black face on the same thing. The leader had changed, but the situation stayed the same. And with Black Lives Matter, watch this video. They'll talk about it. It's a link in the description. the Hillary wing, the Hillary Clinton wing of the Democratic Party, the Hillary Clinton Democrats, they've co-opted and taken over Black Lives Matter. So I guess that's the death of Black Lives Matter. That's too bad. I had a whole bunch of Black Lives Matter t-shirts. I had a Black Lives Matter thing decorating my wall. But it's been co-opted. So check out this video, very informative. All right, continuing with Black History Month, and continuing on Revolutionary Blackout, another link to that terrific channel, Revolutionary Blackout. As you can read from the headline, Michael Jordan, Oprah, and other Black capitalists are selfish. And that's the thing, you know, and this speaks to, so click on the link, please read that video, watch that video. But this speaks to the larger issue of how philanthropy, billionaire philanthropy, is not going to save us. Millionaire philanthropy is not going to save us. Rich people are not going to save us. They're not. We need a new system. And yes, there are women and Black people and immigrants who can succeed in this system, but the American system does not work. It does not work. And where's Bill Gates and Mark Sucks a Hamburger? Where are they? Why aren't they fixing all of the world's problems? Mark Cuban, why haven't they fixed the world's problems by now? They're billionaires. They don't have the money to fix the world's problems. Why haven't they? Because it won't happen that way. Millionaires and billionaires are not going to save us. Ordinary people are going, the ordinary people are going to save ourselves. And just really quickly, I'm not an organizer. That's not my skill set. I can talk. I can have a channel. I can get in front of people and talk. But we need the people who are not on these channels, who the media doesn't cover, who don't have their own channels, because they are on the ground organizing others. And that's what we need. We need, as Chris Hedges, who I'll mention, we need sustained civil disobedience. And that's what's going to save us. It has to be remembered that Dr. King, speaking of Black History Month, Dr. King never ever said, depend on rich people to save you. Elect the right person to office to save you. Dr. King didn't even run for office. How did he accomplish what he did? Through sustained civil disobedience. And that's what we're going to need. So speaking of, please watch all the links that I leave in the description, because we love all of you. And I'm not going to repeat what some people are suggesting, because I might get canceled. This channel might get canceled. Stop that! Stop that! Again, behind the scenes, Americano update drama. Okay. So continuing on, staying on Black History Month, there's another link in the description to On Contact with Chris Hedges. No, go back. Let's go back. Not the book. Yeah, perfect. Thank you. Race and America's Long War. Terrific video. Please watch it. I'm also writing some, by the way, I'm also writing some things on Americano Updates, Facebook. You can follow us on Facebook, like us on Facebook. I think it helps the YouTube algorithm. I'm not sure. But I posted another good video, not on the show, not on the description, but on Americano Updates Facebook page. But this I'll just basically break it down for you. Just summarize. You see what happened. What's happening is the United States is an imperial project, and it always has been, because and whatever, it might be a small empire, but it's still an empire. Any time a small country conquers another country that is smaller, bigger, or same size, well, then it becomes an empire. When it might be a very small empire, but an empire nonetheless. And you look, and if you don't want to use the word empire, fine, don't use the word empire. The point is, in the United States, we have always been doing bad things, good things too, but some bad things. Specifically, after we became our own country, we kept slavery. Canada, Mexico, England, France, they had all banned slavery. We didn't. We kept slavery. All those other countries I just mentioned, they had abolished slavery. We went on to kick indigenous people off their land. Then we stole half of Mexico. And then we keep, and today we're at, well, and then more recently, before today, we were bombing Vietnam. We're now bombing Iraq still. It looks like we're going to go to war with Russia. The United States needs to stay out of the Ukraine. The United States out of Ukraine. The United States out of Ukraine now. Because if we go to war with Russia, that's it. Like I said in another video, then the nuclear missiles fly and humanity goes extinct. Bye, humanity. Farewell. It was fun while it lasted. So anyway, what does this all have to do with race? Well, it was always part of the imperial project. In fact, one of the motivations, and Chris Hedges talked about this on a previous video, one of the motivations of the founding fathers to leave England was because they wanted to keep slavery. When England had already had abolished slavery, which meant that soon England would abolish slavery in all the colonies as well. And George Washington, a slave owner, and the other slave owners, not all of them, John Adams was not a slave owner, but Thomas Jefferson, who was a slave owner, Benjamin Franklin, who was a slave owner, they all decided we're going to keep slaves. So we're going to make our own country. And not only are we going to make our own country, we're going to kick the indigenous people off their land. We're going to steal half of Mexico from them. And then we're going to keep having these wars in other countries. And there was a Greek or a Roman philosopher who Chris Hedges talks about, and where I'm paraphrasing, the tyranny we give to others, we revisit back home. So the tyranny we give to others, we give it back to ourselves. So it's part of the same pattern. As we bomb other people, we are killing, literally, the police are killing unarmed Black people here in what Malcolm X called internal colonies. So the violence and the war, we're making war on others, and we're making war on ourselves as well. The selves that we're making war on is our Black selves. That is our fellow Americans who are Black. It's a war abroad and a war at home. So please watch that video. Link in the description. And now we come to our last story. Americano Update is short this week. Staying on Black History Month, and the last story for this week Is Bill Cosby right, or has the black middle class lost its mind? By Michael Eric Dyson. I actually have this book on my bookshelf. I'm looking at it right now. I read this. This is an old book. It was published years ago. This was, it's fitting to talk about today because we're talking about how it's Black History Month, and a lot of wealthy Black people are not helping the Black community. A lot of wealthy people in general are not helping anybody, or at least not helping enough. And what happened was, before the sexual accusations came out against Bill Cosby, and before Michael Eric Dyson is where he is today, Michael Eric Dyson wrote this book because Bill Cosby, a rich Black man, was basically criticizing. This is an Black people. This is an oversimplification what I'm going to say. So you should read the book and delve more into it. But basically what he was saying is, I'm a rich Black man. I made it. So you Black people who are poor, it's your fault. You got to get your act together. Now, there are a lot of Black people and a lot of Black churches who would say that there are a lot of Black people who are doing things that they should not be doing. At the same time, the system needs to change, which is why Black people are a minority in America, but a majority in the prison population. And they are not as rich as a group as white Americans are. Bill Cosby was part, or maybe still is part, of what Michael Eric Dyson called the aristocracy. What is the aristocracy? Well, it's a combination of African and aristocracy. Aristocracy. These are rich and powerful Black people who have succeeded, who made it in the system. And instead of helping others and helping poor Black people, they are just following the example of, one might say, their white masters or their white role models, and just staying rich, staying greedy, staying powerful, and not helping other people, and not changing the system so that everybody has what they need. It's very easy when you've made it to say, hey, I made it. So if you haven't, you're a loser. And the thing is, as I said in my minimalism talks, which you can check out on my channel, I know this because that's my background. My father is a rich man. His father was a rich man. And for both of these men, it was not enough. It was never enough to... The money was never enough. They always wanted more. Always. It was never enough. Now, ironically, Michael Eric Dyson himself has become part of the aristocracy. It was really sad, but when Bernie Sanders was running for president, he went on Bill Maher and said, I don't know if America is ready for a socialist president. Oh my God. This from the guy who supported Barack Obama, while others were saying, I don't think America is ready for a Black president. Now Michael Eric Dyson's on MSNBC. He makes a lot of money. Is he helping? How much is he worth? Is he helping Black people? He's gained a lot of weight. Maybe that's because now that he's got money, he can eat more. I mean, that's not a personal attack. I'm just saying, it appears to me that he has joined the aristocracy, which he used to criticize, and which he did criticize in this book. And that's not, and again, we talked about this before. It's happened before. Black Lives Matter, co-opted by Hillary Clinton Democrats. Rich Black people like Michael Jordan, Oprah Winfrey, they're part of the aristocracy. Why aren't they helping others? Michael Eric Dyson, what are you doing? Bill Cosby, what has he done? And to a broader extent, this is why I don't like self-help, because self-help is all about get rich, and do it fast, and never take a break, and never stop. And that's how you live life to the fullest. No, that's not how you live life to the fullest. Living life to the fullest means understanding you do not need to be rich. You do not need to be famous. You do not need to be powerful. For me, I've said this before, I'll say it again. Yes, I want to be rich, but that's just because I don't want to worry about anything. I'm a minimalist. I want to drink Taiwanese tea and read books. That's what I want to do. Yeah, that's my ambition. Why do you even need ambition? You know, didn't God create us for our own sake? I know, as Christopher Hedges said, you don't need to be a theologian, to paraphrase Christopher Hedges. You don't need to be a theologian to know that Jesus Christ died on the cross so that you could have money. And you have, in America anyway, all these prosperity gospel churches who are telling you that you need money, and there are people getting rich in the self-help industry by selling their books. Like, do you feel unhappy? Read my book, you will be happy. Or read my book, you will be rich. Or read my book, or take my course, take my online course, and you will be rich. And it's just nonsense. Maybe you are unhappy. And if you are unhappy, there's nothing wrong with going to a therapist, asking for help. A good therapist will tell you money will not make you happy. In fact, studies have shown that wealthy people are not happy. Not studies. Well, yes. There was an article, I think I did a story about this a while ago, but there was an article a while back talking about how wealthy people are not happy. And one of the reasons they're not happy, it was mentioned on the Young Turks, which I don't like, but I also watch. It was talking about how rich people are very unhappy. A lot of rich people are very unhappy, and a lot of rich people are unhappy. And one of the reasons they're unhappy is because they feel like everybody's out to get them. Nobody's really their friend. They're only spending time with them because they're rich and they want something from them. That's what a lot of rich people feel. Wow, how sad. A good therapist will not tell you, yeah, you need to be rich. No. A good therapist will help you find happiness. And more than one study in America, at least two studies, both Ivy League, I think, came out. It came out in the United States. And what it showed was that in the United States, people who make less than $75,000 per year are not as happy as those who make $75,000 per year. However, those who make more than $75,000 per year are not happier than those who make $75,000 a year. Now, wait, why is that? You're making more money. Why aren't you happy? Well, number one, it's evidence that money does not buy happiness. And number two, think about it. Are these people rich because they don't have friends and they barely sleep and they just eat and throw themselves into their business? Are they lawyers who are, spending 80 hours a week at the law firm? They're making a lot of money, but they're spending a lot of time. They don't have time for their spouses, their children, or even to look for a relationship that might lead to a spouse and children. Are you a doctor who's spending all the time working? You're making a lot of money, but if you have no free time, are you just your work? Is that it? Is that the only reason you've been put on this planet is to be productive, to be useful. That's it. You know, that's really sad. That basically means if you're not useful, you're a loser, and you don't. In an extreme sense, you don't deserve to live. Um, there's a terrific movie called Hero. It's old. It's with Andy Garcia, Dustin Hoffman, and Gina Davis. And this homeless person becomes famous, and he becomes a hero to the country. It's a funny movie, actually. It's very clever. It's about hero worship and how we worship our heroes, and we shouldn't worship our heroes. But anyway, he says something very interesting. He says that, I'll paraphrase it. He says, when you're homeless, there is something worse than not having money. I'm not saying money is not important. Money is very important, especially when you're homeless, and $1 today can mean the difference between life and death tomorrow. But even millionaires jump off a building, and that's true. There are some rich people who have committed suicide. Anyway, this is Andy Garcia. He goes on to say, the worst thing is the feeling of uselessness, that you are not any use. And then he goes on to say, he became famous because he helped some people. He said, I'm a hero. He saved some people's lives. He said, I saved those people. That made me useful. And it made me a hero. But they gave me a purpose. They made me useful. So that makes them heroes. And the TV station he's talking to, giving this interview, they gave him a lot of money, and people all over the world gave him money and things because of what he did, saving those people's lives. And then Andy Garcia says, all of you help me. That makes all of you heroes. If we all help each other, we could be heroes together. We could all be heroes together. I recommend that movie. It's called Hero. It's an old movie with Gina Davis, Dustin Hoffman, and Andy Garcia. It laugh out loud funny, very, very, very clever satire of how we in America worship our heroes. They don't make them like that anymore. That's a whole other thing. That's a whole other thing we can talk about. Anyway, so that's it for this edition of Americano Update. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.